What do we want more in life than just about everything? It's consistency. We're looking for consistent income. We're looking for consistent behavior. We're looking for consistent response, consistent action. We're looking for our team to be consistent, to show up consistent. Really at the core of it, we're looking for that certainty that's going to tell us that, hey, we know exactly what's going to happen. We know that we've got the security that we're going to have the income coming in on a regular basis. We know that when somebody sets the expectation that I'm going to get this kind of return, we know based on their consistent track record that I feel a little bit more secure that they're going to be able to deliver that again. When an employee or a team member consistently delivers a certain type of result, we know with a higher likelihood of certainty that they are going to continue to deliver that result. And of course, there's times where we're looking for uncertainty. But when it comes to money, and when it comes to business, and when it comes to running a life and a family and a household, all the things that we're looking for, quite often is we're looking for some more consistency. And at the core of that, it's so important because when we can do an action over and over again, any action that's repeated over and over again leads us to having more experience. And that experience leads us to having a better memory about exactly how that needs to be done. And that ends up leading us to eventually being able to master that skill and frankly, be able to deliver it with more consistency. So at the core of it, what we're looking to do whenever we're creating a new behavior or habit or a business or any kind of a change in our life is we want to figure out, well, how can we schedule and segment something down into bite-sized pieces that we can consistently do over and over again? It's super, super important. And of course, how we get there by having clarity, and we get that clarity by understanding what we want. Really important to understand what we're going for at a detailed level and why that's important. That creates that motivation, that emotion. But then understanding how we're going to get there. What are some of the strategies? And most importantly, what are the strategies that we can do over and over and over again that we have control of that's going to help us get there? Because here's one of the big challenges that a lot of investors face, a lot of professionals face, and a lot of you guys I know face it as well, is that you're looking to make some kind of change happen in your life. You're looking to create, financial freedom. You're looking to create financial independence. You're looking to create the ability to travel and do whatever you want. But how do you get there? Understanding that objective is really important. But how you actually get there is by determining what actions done consistently, repeated over and over again, are going to end up getting there, because we don't control the outcome. We don't control whether it rains or it snows today. Of course, unless you're a Saudi prince and you're making it rain, which is a whole nother topic. You guys should Google that if you haven't seen what they do on a monthly basis there. When we think about having control, we really only control our reaction to whatever is going on in the world. And so the more clear we are in what we want and why we want it, the more clear we can get on how we're going to get there, and the more clear we can be about what actions we're going to do on a consistent basis. And here's the reason why it's really important. I'm going to put it into financial sense for all the investors out there, because I think the dollars are going to make even more sense, but I'm going to bring it back to the skill set in just a second. If we take $1 and we just focus on doing whatever activity or action is going to take it for it's going to take for us to be able to deliver that $1 and to be able to double it. This whole idea of doubling the exponential growth factor. How can we focus on doubling something as quickly as possible? So $1 to $2, $2 to $4, $4 to $8, $8 to $16, $16 to $32, $32 to $64, and so on and so forth. And so you can see with each segment of doubling, we're exponentially growing the size of our pool of money, of our investment, of our dollars. The same is true of a skill set. The same is true of the new habit that you want to create, the relationship that you want to strengthen or go to a much deeper level. It is true across all of these different things. And so when we can first understand with true clarity what we want, why we want it, and of course, what is the action that's going to end up getting there that we can do on a consistent basis, we can understand how we can repeat that over and over again. And here's the reason why it's very similar between doubling the money and doubling your skills or habits or any of the kind of change we're talking about, is specifically because when we're doubling something from 1 to 2, it doesn't feel like we've made that big of a change. It doesn't feel like we have brought things as far as we really want them to be. If our goal is to take the $1 we have and our goal is to have $1 million, it doesn't feel like we're that much closer. And so often we can be in a state and a place where we're ready to make that change happen in our life, change that habit, change that belief, change that relationship. And we start to go down that path of doing that action over and over again. We start to go on that run every morning. We start to meditate. We start to reach out to investors or brokers or anybody in between that we're looking to build consistent relationships with, or we're looking to have that action turn into the type of result. But we often give up way too early because we doubled that from one relationship to 2, and from 2 to 4, and from 4 to 8, and from 8 to 16, and from 16 to 32, and from 32 to 64. But it doesn't feel like we've made that much progress because we're not at that million. And because sometimes those segments, and when we're starting so small, the doubling can happen and we can't even feel it. And so just to bring it home, as we continue to double exponentially over and over and over again, we can see that in the beginning, those first 6, 8, 9, 10 segments are fairly small. This is not that big of a change happening in our financial piggy bank. But all of a sudden, we get further up the scale. We get further down that path of exponential growth. And as we get further down that path to exponential growth, we start to see some really amazing things happen. Because as we keep doubling at each segment, at segment 17, we're at $131,000. We've made massive growth. But do you see that if we keep doing that consistent action over and over again, repeatedly, at segment 18, we're at $262,000. At segment 19, we're at just over $524,000. And at segment 20, we're over $1 million. It didn't feel like very much from 1 to 2, and from 2 to 4, from 4 to 8. But it sure feels like a lot when we go from 131,000 to 262 and all the way up to $1 million. The point being, the same action of doubling, the same action that ended up bringing us to the point of creating that momentum to bring us to the place we're able to start really seeing and feeling and recognizing that the actions that we're taking are resulting in high quality results isn't, frankly, until far down the line. And so if that takes you 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 years to get there, no problem. Because as long as we do it consistently, we're going to be in a really good place. So I encourage you guys to take some consistent action, figure out what's important to you, and definitely let me know in the comments below what's a consistent action that you've been doing on a regular basis that's made a big difference for you. Shoot me a message on LinkedIn or Instagram and let me know the exact same answer. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Investor Mindset Podcast. If you like what you heard, make sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share it with a friend. Head over to theinvestormindset.com to join the Insider Club, where we share tools and strategies from the top investors and entrepreneurs on how to take it to the next level.